everyone. Thanks for tuning in with us. We're the West Cook Homeownership Center. My name is Jackie. I do communications there, and with me today is Baxter. How are you doing today, Baxter?
I'm okay. Spring is in the air. I feel like the weather is breaking finally. We got some sun, and I think the weekend is supposed to be really nice. So
yeah, it's already.
I'm excited about that.
I am too. It's already nice today. So I'm excited to be here today again because we're talking about some great resources for our community again and some important information and legislation regarding housing. And Baxter, do you want to take us into what's going on in Austin?
Sure. Thanks, Jackie. There's a lot happening. The Oak Park Regional Housing Center through our West Cook Homeownership Center, which is located in the Austin community. We are the co-developers for the Laramie State Bank redevelopment project through former Mayor Lori Lightfoot's Invest Southwest initiative. So I know that that's kind of a mouthful, but a lot has happened over the last 10, 15 years. And of course, a lot has happened over the last couple years. And this week, we had an election where we now have a new mayor, Mr. Brandon Johnson, former Cook County Commissioner. I say all that to say this. The development that we're working on has given us an opportunity to think about how to develop the Austin community in not just a responsible way, but a way that involves and engages the entire community, not just the residents, but also, not just the stakeholders, the business owners and the leaders, but also the residents. And so this is a framework which we're going to build into an ordinance which is going to be passed through the Chicago City Council, and it's going to show us how it's going to sort of be a roadmap for redeveloping the Austin community. Does all that make sense? I hope so.
It made sense to me.
Okay.
And that's big news for Austin, but our West Side and just all Chicago, so it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are some points about it, and I think what we'll do today, Jackie, is we'll just address one component of the ordinance.
Okay.
Basically, there are three components to this. The first component, which we'll address today, is all of the programs and resources and funding that are extant in the city of Chicago, but the community of Austin has been excluded. So what this ordinance is going to do is extend some of the resources and some of the funding that already exists to cover the Austin community. I call it thinking inside the box. I call it hyper-local public policy making, where we're not thinking about necessarily one size fits all. We're thinking about hyper-focused, super tailored public policy that addresses the needs for this specific community. And that community is Austin, and it has a lot of needs.
It does, yeah.
A lot of challenges.
Yeah, a lot have gone unmet for a long time, so this is big.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the things that we want to do with this ordinance, Jackie, is we want to draw down resources so that they can be used inside the community. One of the ways that that is already being done is through tax incremental financing, which most people know as TIF. There is an Austin commercial tax incremental financing district, and our Laramie State Bank redevelopment project is inside that TIF. That TIF is generating money for big economic development projects, including ours. However, rarely are you able to use some of that TIF funding to help renovate your home.
Right.
Get a new facade on your business. Some of the smaller projects that really build up the infrastructure of a community at the more grassroots level. So what people probably have not heard of is a TIF NIP. A TIF NIP is a tax incremental financing neighborhood improvement program. There are only about 24 of them in the city, one of which is in Austin. But we're not putting money into it, and what we'd like to do is invest in that neighborhood improvement program fund so that we can help people, I don't know, fix their porches, fix out the rails on their, in their yards, and fences, that sort of thing.
Yeah, feed back into the community.
Yes. Sure. So that's that. This ordinance would put more money into that TIF and find ways to reinvest in people's communities. The Austin Commercial TIF, I was actually working with Alderman Mitz back when she first formed this TIF in 2007. The TIF is going to expire in 2031, and we have about 7 or 8 years to invest in that TIF and use it to build up people's homes and small businesses.
That's great.
I do think it's great.
Yeah. What else have we got here? Let me go on to the next.
Sure.
Our next point.
I think the next one is accessory dwelling units. Okay, so we got the MMRP. So this, I'm sure people have really heard about this. The MMRP is a micro market recovery program, and it was created right at the beginning of the pandemic to help Austin residents gain access to funding to buy a home. The problem we have in Austin is, as you can see where that star is on the map, that's our Invest Southwest program. Mm-hmm. But to the right of that star is where the MMRP stops. Where you see the big circle, that's where the MMRP is not, those houses in that area are not eligible for MMRP funds.
Okay.
And those funds help people get down payment to buy a home, and there are other recovery program funding. What we'd like to see happen is that MMRP be extended so that we can maximize the benefits from the Laramie State Bank project, so that all of that space in that big red circle there, the people there should have access to those resources and funding.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to make sure that there's not a hard line to who can benefit.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm sure that if we thought about this in a critical way, we would probably come up with ways to organize the community, to reach out to the alderman, to the new mayor, and to others, to help them understand that we also need, those people in those communities also need access to MMRP funding.
Yeah, and they could really benefit. So what else have we got here? We've got...
By the way, Jackie, I appreciate you designing all this stuff. You know, that big red X really helps people understand that essentially additional dwelling units are those units that you might have a living quarters on top of your garage, you know, some sort of structure in your backyard. Accessory dwelling units are those units that are not connected to the main house on your property.
Right.
In many communities, that's been illegal to rent to a person that's not a family member. You know, you can't sort of generate revenue from that. That is no longer the case. There's a pilot program for ADUs, accessory dwelling units, and some people call it additional dwelling units. And Austin is not part of that pilot program, and it's just not right.
Yeah.
It just ain't right. We need Austin to be part of that pilot program so that the $25,000 that has become available for you to build or renovate an accessory dwelling unit, it's a grant. The residents in Austin should have access to that as well.
Yeah. I
feel like if they had access to that, people would take advantage of it. But what we do know is we could increase affordable housing units in the Austin community by about 15 to 20%.
That's a big jump.
Just by building accessory dwelling housing units.
That is a really big jump, and that would be a really a real benefit to people who are able to provide that housing now for others in the community, and especially with that grant, it could be really quality, affordable housing.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And I guess I failed to mention that it's $25,000 for a regular accessory dwelling unit, but $35,000 grant if it's handicap accessible. I guess we call that ADA, accessible, the Accessible for Disabilities Act. So yeah, you even get more money if you make it accessible. So I'm advocating for this. I believe that the Austin community needs it. We deserve it. The Austin Quality of Life Plan has indicated that Austin is short about 87,000 affordable housing units.
Yeah.
So this will put a big dent in that need.
Yeah, really
So,
addressing that.
yeah.
That's great. Well, that sounds like it'd be really helpful. Let's move on to the next point for Austin.
Yeah, and this is another important part. Jackie, what has happened with transportation-oriented development is the current administration, Lori Lightfoot's administration, I really want to give her credit for thinking about making TOD, transportation-oriented developments, more equitable. In the past, you had to have a rail line near your development in order to access TOD funding. Now, because so many Black and brown low-income communities they access bus lines as much as they do the rail lines. So you can, if you are in close proximity to a bus line, to a bus stop, you can access ETOD funding, which is Equitable Transportation-Oriented Development. Our development, the Laramie State Bank development, is a TOD, but we also can access ETOD because the development is right in front of the Laramie Chicago Avenue bus stop.
Yeah.
And that's going to give the people, the 78 units that are going to be built there, they'll have a clean, nice, improved, modernized bus stop, and not just there, but multiple bus lines up and down Chicago Avenue and Laramie Street. And it shows that our government, community investors, the residents, our leaders, all are coming together to provide a better public asset system for the people who live in Austin.
Yes.
And I'm proud of that.
I'm proud of that too. No, and people do use the bus lines just as much, so to be able to access that funding is really going to benefit a lot of communities.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And they use it a lot more in low-income communities, you know, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked a great deal about investing into our communities, so maybe now we also talk about what's being invested in and into the housing industry.
Yeah. So recently, there's been a new proposal to sort of expand the scope of affirmatively furthering fair housing. I always struggle with that.
Yeah.
And that proposal is that all of the organizations, municipalities, and public housing authorities who get money from HUD, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they now have to create an equity plan. And that plan has to proactively show how you're going to open access to housing opportunities for Black and brown, low-income, minority, women, veterans. And I think that that's really, really, really important. What the Oak Park Regional Housing Center has done. And of course, we could not have done this without Jackie's super duper skills helping us create the Google form.
Thank you.
So people can sign up and leave their comments about this proposal. So April 10th, I think that's Monday.
I believe you're right about that.
This Monday is the deadline for people to sign up at our Google form and enter their comments so that we can send those comments to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. But we're excited about this.
Yeah.
The Oak Park Regional Housing Center has been around for 50 years. We are a pioneer in fair housing and integration and diversity and inclusion. And so we want to offer some of our expertise to help some of the organizations create their equity assessment plan, to go through and create their action plans. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to this. I think that what we should probably do is have a full show on it.
Yeah.
Where, we can just talk about the AFFH new rule proposal.
I think you're right about that. That would be great.
Yeah.
And I think, let me go ahead. Yeah, and there's a couple bullets about what's new in the proposed plan. And I know you talked about the benefits of it.
Why don't you just read through
Oh,
them?
sure, yeah. So with this new proposed, or the new aspects of the proposed rule, there is the equity plan. So program participants would be required to draft and submit to HUD their fair housing equity plan, and that happens every 5 years. There's action plans, so program participants would be required to draft and submit to HUD an annual action plan for implementing their equity plans. Progress evaluations, these participants would be required to conduct and submit to HUD annual progress evaluations. The community engagement aspect, they want to address with more meaningful community engagement, and that would also be required in the program participants' equity plan. And finally, transparency and accountability. All program participants would need to share, they would need their plans shared online and they would need to be exposed to public comments and complaints to ensure transparency and accountability.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull this up too, because we have a QR code and a link to the site where you can go ahead and fill out your feedback form. And that just allows the Oak Park Regional Housing Center to go ahead and compile this so they can share that.
Maybe we let that sit on the screen for a little while?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people can access that. I hope they can.
They should be able to. And if not, I'll go ahead and share our organization's phone number, email, website at the end, and you can always call us, and we can go ahead and help you out with that if you want to share your feedback on this. All right.
Awesome.
Well, anything else that you want to share regarding updates in the housing industry or within our community? Because I know we have some resources for our community that we're going to share as well.
No, I think that's it. I know you have something about our Saturday courses.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share some resources first that are available to Cook County residents, actually, and I have a little slide for that. But there is a program available right now. Let me go ahead and pull that up. For Cook County residents who are in need of legal assistance because of a housing or debt issue. So it's called the Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt. And this this is a resource for people who are dealing with evictions, foreclosures, or debt issues. And this is for both housing providers and people who are renting or a homeowner. And this is for Cook County residents so that they can provide free assistance on resolving these issues. And there is a hotline number that you can call so that you can get more information and start the process. And that number is on the screen. It's 855-956-5763. You go ahead, they have different language options, and they'll provide those on the hotline. And anyone can receive assistance or at least get some feedback and possibly referrals to other resources if they themselves cannot help. So that is very beneficial to residents across Cook County throughout Chicago.
For sure.
And we have another resource that is available to residents across Illinois, actually, specifically homeowners. So these are for homeowners who are currently behind on housing payments and are struggling to make their mortgage payments. There is a program through the Illinois Housing Development Authority that offers up to $60,000 in emergency mortgage assistance. And these are for homeowners who have been affected throughout the pandemic. And you can go ahead and call our office, 773-887-5187, if you want more information about the application process, or you can call the program directly at 866-454-3571 to get more information and see where you can go if you would like help with the application. And this is great also for everybody who has been struggling. And even if you're not behind on mortgage payments, our office does offer assistance. If you're maybe just struggling to stay afloat, we offer counseling for that. Or if you've already gone into the foreclosure process, we can provide assistance with that as well. And we got one more other resource that I want to talk about real quick. And that's actually us. So just to go a little more in depth into what we do, we are the West Cook Homeownership Center. We have an Austin office and a office in Oak Park as well. But our office in Austin is 5934 West Lake Street. We are open to walk-ins 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. And we provide different resources for homeowners or people who are looking to become a homeowner. So we offer first-time homebuyer counseling, so we can get you situated on the home buying process. We offer, we offer credit and debt management classes. So if you're looking to become a homeowner, but you're trying to get your finances more stable, we can help you with that. Or if you're not even trying to buy a home, but you need to, improve your credit or maybe work through some debt that you have, we offer counseling with that. And so our wonderful housing counselors can pull free credit reports and go through that with you so that you can see, everything that's been and get a better sense of your financial situation. And if none of your housing concerns are addressed by those programs, you can also just call us, and we offer referrals as well. So we might be able to point you in the right direction, or we can help you get situated with other resources that we offer. So our phone number is 887, I'm blanking on this. Thank you. 773-887-5187. Or you can email us or visit us online.
Thank you.
All right.
And we'll see you
Baxter.
next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie.